Hello and good day. It's the Clark the Shark Show, the most beautiful, amazing show on the internet. 1-800-449-8255 from the fabulous golden EIB Sharkraphone. And I'm going to bring you an amazing album that I grew up loving, even though I don't like this guy, Neil Young. This guy is a complete douchebag. Sort of like David Crosby and Stephen Stills and Graham Nash. All four of these guys are douchebags. I mean, complete and total douchebags. I don't like any of these guys personally, but their music is fucking awesome at 1-800-449-8255. And this album, baby, After the Gold Rush, is one of the greatest albums ever recorded. I mean, maybe Neil Young has to be negative. Maybe he has to be a total, complete douchebag in order to record music this good. Who knows? 1-800-449-8255. Clark the Shark Show. I mean, there's people that think I'm a douchebag too. They might be right or wrong or neutral. I don't know. But I know Neil Young is a douchebag. I fucking can't stand this guy. I don't like this guy, the way he goes back and forth politically and things like that, but I could be wrong. Maybe he's meant by God to do that and to be like that. 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show, coming to you from the golden EIB Sharkraphone. And this album from 1970, way ahead of its time, just killer songs all over this. There's hit songs, but the songs that aren't hits are really fucking good. This is better than anything David Crosby or Graham Nash could ever do. And even Stephen Stills, great as he is, he started to run out of ideas, as the 1970s progressed. But really, Neil Young never really did. He kept on producing. And even his old guy albums, his recent albums, always have something interesting on them. I can't say the same about Stills, Crosby, and Graham Nash. I used to always say, damn, I hate the fact that Neil Young joined CSN and turned him into CSNY, and he killed and just ruined the band. I used to always grow up saying that Crosby, Stills, and Nash were great, but the real reality was Crosby, Stills, and Nash were running out of ideas already and from day one. At 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show. Now, Neil Young came along and he joined the project. And he saved it. As much as I hate Neil Young, I can't fucking stand this guy. He makes Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Young get better. Because I think pretty much CSN relied on the S, Stills, to do things. Because Crosby and, Graham Nash is really good. But as time wore on, their songwriting just began to run out of gas. Even though Graham Nash and Crosby put out some interesting albums, not as good as Crosby, Stills, and Nash or CSNY. But I got to talk about Neil Young, because this guy, the way he blew up his guitar tones, he pretty much invented grunge long before Clark the Shark or grunge or the 90s or, bands like Black Flag and, all the imitators that would come later. And, you could make an argument that the Stooges and Iggy Pop were right there, about the same time. Maybe they were a little bit before in terms of grungy garage punkiness. But there's something to be said for and about Neil Young. This guy is amazing. A genius songwriter. He writes catchy melodies. As much as I fucking hate this guy and I can't stand him, I gotta admit he's one of the greatest songwriters of all time. Now, of course, you're sitting there going, Clark the Shark, aren't you going to talk about this guy's lame, horrible voice that's so annoying? And I'm like, no, because his lame, crappy voice goes so well with his songs. And it ends up being like this yearning thing that's really neat and interesting. And, I'm not one of those guys that ever sits around and knocks Neil Young's singing. I don't do that because I get it, man. I understand the whole atmosphere, the whole vibe, the whole ambiance of it, his background. There's something about Neil Young, voice and all, that's great. And his songwriting, that's just awesome. At 1-800-449-8255, The Clark the Shark Show. Neil Young after the Gold Rush. I don't want you to buy this album. I don't want you to support Neil Young. Don't buy Crosby, Stills, and Nash or any of those guys' music either. Just let these fucking people rot as far as I'm concerned, because they're miserable, horrible people as far as I'm concerned. But this music's awesome. This music is great. Neil Young, After the Gold Rush. Just fucking killer. It's way ahead of 1970. And, tell me why, dude. Awesome. Killer song. Love it. After the Gold Rush, title track. Man. I want you to listen to this album. Don't listen to it too much because I don't want any money going to Neil Young. I wish an earthquake or a volcano or a tornado would just fucking, I'm not going to say it, man, but, I do not like the person Neil Young, but I love his music. Only Love Can Break Your Heart. Awesome song. These first three songs are awesome. But of course, Southern Man, the big hit on side one, is amazing. Way ahead of 1970. Southern Man sounds like it could be from 1975. It's killer, man. You all know it. You've heard it plenty on the radio, on KLOS, and all over the United States. Till the Morning Comes. Killer. Catchy. I like Till the Morning Comes. I like it. Oh, Lonesome Me. Awesome. Killer. It's actually a cover, but Neil Young. It's awesome. Don't Let It Bring You Down. It's only castles burning. I love it. Don't let it bring you down. It's only Sharky dying. Don't worry about it, you guys. 1-800-449-8255. I love Don't Let It Bring You Down. Do round and do down as the morning papers fly. Do wonder why. Love it. Birds, killer, dude. The best song on the album is track number 8, Birds. Lover, there will be another one. Love Birds. I love this album, you guys. It's fucking killer. And of course, When You Dance, big hit song there. I Believe in You. You know what? Scratch it from the records. Number 10, I Believe in You, I like more than Birds. At 1-800-449-8255. I love I Believe in You. If you are going to buy this album, buy it just for that song, number 10. Awesome. And the final song, just a throwaway, but a neat little song, Cripple Creek Ferry. I like it. Could have been better and longer, but it's still good. 1-800-449-8255. I like every song on this album. It's acoustic. It's killer, man. It's totally different from the albums around it. It's very atmospheric. I love all the acoustic, and there's like little horns on some songs, like Birds. I love the song Birds. Killer, dude. Fuck yeah. 1-800-449-8255. I love Tell Me Why, the first song, man. And of course, After the Gold Rush is killer. This album on a scale of 1 to 10 is a 93. It's just it's not really grunge, like there's some moments of some rock and roll, but it's mainly like acoustic, country, bluesy, you know. It kind of reminds me a little in a way of like the James Gang. If they just got like down home acoustic, pulled up a bunch of acoustic guitars around a campfire, but then Neil Young had come along and start, he'd whip it out and take a piss in their fire at 1-800-449-8255. He would just have to fucking wreck the party. But his music is awesome, man. Neil Young, I love his music. It's first rate. I love this down home country acoustic, backwoods, Midwest, Southern, crappy Canadian fucking worthless shit. It's awesome. At 1-800-449-8255. Yeah, man, I fucking gotta admit it. I love Neil Young's music. I love the acoustic guitars. I love the little neato fucking cool atmospheric. He's got what I was after as a songwriter, back in my day. And in 1992, when I was 27, I lived in, Playa del Rey on Tuscany, and I would play this fucking album every night on my brother Paul's killer stereo. As I would sit there and make, copy tapes of Greenhouse Effect, and I was still mailing them into record labels. 1992, age 27, but, I was getting tired. And, of course, soon, by December of 92, I would be out of there. I wouldn't be living in that apartment anymore. Can't remember where I went, probably to Bel Air up there, the Cato thing, living on Mr. Ida's. I don't know. But, I remember that summer, 1992, being 27, and I would listen to this album, Patsy Cline, and I would listen to these albums, man, out there. I was just all alone, 27, 1992, listening to my Neil Young. And I never liked Neil Young. I never liked him personally. I don't like anything about this human being, but I love his music. I can't argue with Neil Young's music is first rate, and he does not have a better album than After the Gold Rush. This album is fucking awesome, you guys. And, I take it back. Go ahead and buy Neil Young. And if you see Neil Young, say, hey, Neil, Clark the Shark said to buy all your albums. Listen to your music on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon. But Clark the Shark thinks you're a fucking dick and you're just a complete asshole. And I'll bet you anything Neil Young would just laugh and walk away and just agree with you. Just like David Crosby or any one of these fucking, white trashy fucking Satans at 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show. But really, you guys, you got to hear After the Gold Rush, Neil Young. Same way you got to hear the James Gang, with Joe Walsh. And the other Neil Young albums, and Crosby, Stills, and Nash, the acoustic, country, bluesy, douchebags all sitting around smoking a joint, fucking beating their girlfriends and getting drunk. And, that was 1969, 70, 71, Charles Manson and the Manson family and, the Beatles, Helter Skelter and Abbey Road. And that was the times, man. 68, 69, 70, 71, 72. Who's next? Great music, man. The Rolling Stones, Beggar's Banquet, and Let It Bleed. All the great music at the turn of the late 60s into the 1970s. But this album right here is ground zero, baby, for one of the greatest albums ever recorded. One of the greatest rock, or country, acoustic, bluesy, uh, pieces of fucking Canadian garbage. Sit around a campfire and, you know, listen to this shit. Neil Young. It is good, you guys. It's good shit. He's got other great albums too, and right in this period, man, I love all the music. I mean, from 1960, 68, you know, I love 1967, the psychedelic, but then something happens with music in 1968 where it just gets great. It gets amazing, you guys. 1-800-449-8255, The Clark the Shark Show. But, yeah, you guys, buy this album. And if you see Neil Young, just go, hey, Neil, why does Clark the Shark hate your guts? At 1-800-449-8255. And he'll just laugh because he knows why anyone would hate his guts who does hate his guts. But, you know, you shouldn't hate people. It's not funny. You should love everyone, you guys. You know, that's coming straight from the heart of Clark the Shark. You should hug your mother, kiss your dad, hug your brother. But if you fucking see Neil Young, I want you to slash all his fucking tires at 1-800-449-8255. I'm just kidding, you guys. But make sure you buy After the Gold Rush. Amazing album. All his albums are amazing. This guy invented grunge. He perfected garage rock, you know, and maybe he's got to be this big of a dick and this big of an asshole to be this good. You know, it all might walk hand in hand. And people say the same thing about yours truly, Clark the Shark. You know, I don't think I'm always that bad. And I know I'm not as bad as Neil Young at 1-800-449-8255 from the fabulous Clark the Shark Show, the golden EIB Sharkerphone. That's right. You heard it right here on WCMY Detroit. You just got some Sharkology, baby. Neil Young, After the Gold Rush. Great album. He does it maybe better than The Who does it. You know, who knows? It's tough. It's like neck and neck, 50-50. I don't know. I love The Who live at Leeds, you know, but I love Neil Young, all his albums live and in the studio. I love that grungy, noisy noise, you know. The Stooges, Iggy Pop, you know, the Velvet Underground. I love it, man. I'm not going to lie. You know, the Electric Prunes. But Neil Young elevates it to another level. On the Clark the Shark Show, you just heard the greatest review. And really, let's be honest, people, the only review you will ever need of Neil Young after the Gold Rush. And it came to you from Clark the Shark at 1-800-449-8255. And once again, I say to you guys, don't watch other YouTube reviewers because they often don't listen to the albums or they just peruse them. They didn't grow up with them like me. They'll just sit there and tell you, oh, blah, blah. They'll tell you anything you want to hear so that they get views, they get subscribers, and they make money. I don't give a shit about subscribers, views, or money. I know YouTube is fake. You know, I know the YouTube algorithm screens out anyone who isn't a liberal and shit like that. Or even if you are a conservative, like the fucking guys who do voting, you know, fuck that, dude. Or whatever. You know, it's safe to be a conservative like Fox News or Sean Hannity or those guys that are like, let the free market decide. It takes a real man and real courage to be a real conservative who wants to cut the price of rent, you know, and make sure everyone has a home and shit like that. That takes fucking balls way beyond Rush Limbaugh or Michael Savage or any of these fucking douchebags at 1-800-449-8255. So if you want to live in a tent and if you want to pay $5,000 a month for rent, keep listening to other conservatives. Oh, and by the way, keep listening to other guys review albums. Oh, they're real geniuses. You know, the guys who agree with Lars Ulrich that Jethro Tull sucks, and the guys who agree, you know, with blah, blah, because he said the Who aren't tight, or, you know, the Beatles are overrated and and all that. Dude, you can fucking listen to those douchebags that were born in 1997, and today they think they're a rock and roll expert from 1968 and 70s and the 60s. And dude, but I recommend you listen to reviewers who were born in 1965 or before. And actually, to be quite frank and realistic, I'm too young. And I'm 57, about to turn 58 next month in April 27, you guys. And I'm too fucking young to tell you about Neil Young. Because I was only 5 when this album came out. And I was only 4 when The Who Tommy came out. And I was only 3 when the Rolling Stones' Beggar's Banquet came out. And I was only 2 when the Jefferson Airplane Surrealistic Pillow came out. So I don't know shit here, you guys. I'm too young to know about rock and roll. But I'm telling you, all you got is Clark the Shark at 1-800-449-8255, baby. Don't listen to guys born in the 90s or the 2000s about anything. Don't even listen to guys born in the 80s. I mean, I don't know what the cutoff is, but you got to be an old guy now in 2023 to know what the fuck you're talking about at 1-800-449-8255. And when it comes to Neil Young, after the gold rush, baby, Clark the Shark grew up with this music. I do remember being 7 years old in 1972 and hearing Neil Young and all this fucking great music. So at least that counts for something. But you got to go to guys who are old guys who review music. There are actually some old guys who review music at YouTube, but they're not really good. They're just perusing the albums, and, they never owned the albums back in the day, or maybe they did, but if you see a guy that's always reviewing heavy metal, and that's all he reviews, he really doesn't know much about the Kinks or punk rock or the Stooges or other, he just reviews Led Zeppelin and Iron Maiden. Okay, that's a fucking red flag that guy doesn't know shit. And not just about music, he doesn't know shit about anything. At 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show. Oh, baby, I'm on a roll now. Now Sharky's rolling. I don't quite have the ideas yet that I'm looking for, but I'm getting warmer. I'm getting closer. And, I'm scraping up against it now, baby. But I'm just telling you, even me, Clark the Shark, I'm not old enough to know the Beatles, but I grew up with them in 1972, 73, 74. So I know him a little better than a guy that was born in 2003, who's 20 and he's a fucking Beatles expert in 2023. Oh, he just knows John Lennon and Yoko. He knows the whole story because he's born after 9/11. He's born after the World Trade Center Twin Towers collapsed. So he knows more about the Beatles and politics. He knows to vote for Barack Obama and Joe Biden at all costs because Clark the Shark's a fucking racist. What the fuck do I even know about anything? I'm 58, 57, dude. That kid from 2003, he's a goddamn expert, dude. Listen to him. Don't listen to Clark the Shark. And a guy from 1993, oh, dude, he's 30. He's pretty fucking old, dude. He was born 1 year after I retired from music in 1992. Clark the Shark from the Greenhouse Effect. I bet he's never even fucking heard of me at 1-800-449-8255. But baby, I recommend you listen to him and everything he says. That guy that was born in 1993, he's a fucking genius. And he probably knows Neil Young after the gold rush better than me, Clark the Shark, better than I will ever know it, baby. At 1-800-449-8255, you just got the word from the golden EIB sharkraphone. It's not a microphone, baby. It's a sharkraphone. And you just got the greatest review of Neil Young after the gold rush. And right now, Neil Young would be like, well, he's right. He's a dick, but he's right. listen to this guy. He's right. And I'm like, Neil, dude, I say the fucking same thing about you, bro. At 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show. And you just got schooled, baby. And you just got the word. And I'm out of here. VR.